Hello, Chris Green here with the Flood Insurance Guru, and today we're talking about what does Hurricane Ian mean for your flood insurance rates if you're not in the state of Florida. Now we're talking about Arizona, we're talking about Ohio, maybe Michigan, maybe even Alabama. You weren't really impacted by Hurricane Ian, but what could you see as a future impact when it comes to private flood insurance? Now we're not talking about the National Flood Insurance Program here, we're talking about private flood insurance and what you could see. In fact, what we're already seeing. We saw one particular carrier in the state of Florida could have $1 billion in losses. That's crazy from Hurricane Ian. As a company takes on these kinds of losses, though, especially when it comes to private flood insurance and the reinsurance they have, this is the company that backs them up when it comes to claims. They could have to offset this in some way. And in many situations, we've seen this happen across the country. We saw it happen several years ago where companies even put a pause on writing new business in certain states until they could catch up on the impact of claims. We saw them significantly increase rates for a long time, or they're what was called capacity. And when it comes to private flood insurance, and you're talking about companies that are using reinsurance money, these are companies like maybe a Lloyd's of London that backs up a carrier. You know, they have to have a certain amount of money to support in order to continue to do business. This is called capacity. And so many of these carriers were at full capacity. You know, we saw this happen in Texas many years ago where companies had to stop writing business because they didn't have the capacity for it, knowing they possibly couldn't cover the claims. So this is what we're seeing. So what does this mean for your rates? Well, this means that if you're in these other states, you may start to see some significant impacts on flood insurance. Does this mean this is the only option when it comes to private flood insurance for you? No, not all reinsurance companies are the same. In fact, it could be the same company that is the reinsurer, and it all depends on the broker's contract. So that's really important to understand. Remember, maybe your policy is even being non-renewed because they don't like that risk anymore. That doesn't mean you can't go get private flood insurance somewhere else. So it's really important to understand this as these things happen. And we do expect these things to happen across the country as we're starting to see not just a lot of flood losses from Ian, but we saw them across the country, like what happened in St. Louis, what happened in Birmingham, Alabama a few years ago, and things like that. So this is exactly what could happen with the private flood insurance market after Hurricane Ian, even in non-coastal areas. So if you've got questions about maybe your rates are going up, but you want to find a way to bring those rates back down. You want to find a way to create long-term rate stability. Maybe you're paying a little bit more this year, but you're just paying a little bit more over the next 5 years instead of rates drastically going up. You want to find out how to avoid companies that give you a cheap rate this year and an extremely high rate next year. Click below to visit our website, floodinsuranceguru.com. Remember, we have an educational background in flood mitigation, and we're here to put time and money back into your life when it comes to flood insurance. Thank you.